This is E&P Reports, a service of Editor and Publisher Magazine since 1884, the authoritative voice of news publishing. And greetings again. I'm Mike Blinder, publisher of E&P, and this week our focus on E&P Reports is the America East Summit. Yes, every year, Pennsylvania NewsMedia Association hosts an event in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and some say it's hard to get to. Well, as a suburban Philadelphian, let me tell you, it's just 90 minutes straight highway from the Philadelphia airport. But moreover, having a convention at Hershey Lodge has a sort of cachet, because as you walk into that wonderful lobby, you get that incredible aroma of Hershey chocolate. And as you register for your room, of course, they give you a couple free chocolate bars. But more importantly, the content of this year's summit combines three important conventions the Pennsylvania News Media Association hosts every year. More importantly, there's new focus, there's new content, and it may just be the place you want to be this March. So anyway, let me take you to E&P's editorial studios, which are in Huntington Beach, California, where we have our editor-in-chief, New Yang, going one-on-one with Brad Simpson, president of the Pennsylvania News Media Association.
Hi, Brad. Thanks for joining me here today on E&P Reports.
Thank you for having me as well.
So we're here to talk about this year's America East News Media and Technology Summit that's scheduled from March 30th to April 1st in Hershey, Pennsylvania. First, let's talk about what is America East to people who are not familiar with the conference.
Sure. America East is PNA's annual capstone conference. Mm-hmm. This year, we have combined the best elements of our events that we had held individually in the past. America East, the PNA Advertising Conference, and the PNA Annual Publishers Convention into one event. The new and improved America East should offer opportunities for attendees to receive high-quality education through the training sessions, discovery of new partners on our vendor solutions show floor, and recognition events for best and the brightest in our industry, and endless networking opportunities.
That's great. So I know America East has a really long history. Can you kind of give a cliff notes of how the show has evolved over the years?
Sure. It's actually in its 45th year this year at Hershey, 45th consecutive year at Hershey. It really has evolved from a production show where they would bring in presses and put the presses together on the convention show floor to a technology-based show with lots of training opportunities and really is an opportunity for all facets of the news organization to get training and to interact with vendors.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about some of these people who come to the shows. I'm sure over the years, the attendees have evolved too. Can you talk about who attends these shows? How many people you anticipate this year to come to the show?
Sure. This year we should have about 150 attendees. Mm-hmm. Last year we had about 100. So we are expecting an increase with the changes in the show and the show design. At this point, our registrations are up and we feel pretty confident that it'll be a great show. As I mentioned, a couple seconds ago, the show really is for all facets of the news media organization. We expect publishers, editors, reporters, ad managers, ad reps, and production managers to be there during the 3 days. Okay,
that's great. And so as someone who's attended a show over the years, I do want to say that that's what I appreciate about America East. It's able to attract, news leaders, editors, reporters, production, and also on the vendor side, it's very diverse as well. So
absolutely.
So over the 45 years, there's a lot of big changes. And one of them you mentioned right now is you're combining 3 conferences into one show. What was the reason behind that decision?
We listened to our members and the attendees of the 3 individual conferences that said that resources, both time and budgetary resources, were valuable and limited, and that having one big show, should be best for planning purposes and staffing purposes back at the organizations. So we combined the very best of all 3 shows into one individual show. And we feel it'll be easier for people to plan and attend the show.
Mm-hmm. Do you anticipate any changes of people who attend the show? Like, do you see the same people who attend America East attending these other shows, or do you feel like there'll be more new faces this year at America East?
There should be new faces. One of the things that we did hear from the vendors that were some of our key valuable resources is that they wanted to see the decision makers at America East. And we feel that by merging the PNA Annual Publishers Convention, where it's mostly a publisher or general manager based attendance, into America East, those decision makers will be at America East and on the show floor in 2020.
Now, another big change this year is something I'm excited about, is that we're partnering with you guys for the 25 and 35 awards ceremony. Typically what we do is just we highlight these individuals in the magazine, but we never really had to do kind of a celebration or a ceremony for them. So I'm really excited about this new change this year, where we get to honor the next generation of newsroom leaders. So what are you guys hoping to gain, though, from this partnership?
Well, we're very excited as well. America East has always been about getting industry leaders together to learn, network, exchange ideas, best practices in a casual atmosphere and environment like Hershey. Our thoughts with partnering with you and editor and publisher on the ceremony is that, for the first time, E&P can honor the 25 under 35 awards winners in a public ceremony.
Yeah.
And attendees at America East can talk with these incredible honorees and hopefully take home some great ideas.
That's what I'm excited about too, is like having to put them in the forefront, having it's different putting it in a magazine, but then when you put it on a stage in front of people, I think it's a lot more special in a way to honor them in that way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So also, full disclosure, I've been a member of their planning committee for a few years now. I love, talking to you guys and planning this, sessions and kind of getting together. And you have all these different voices and industry leaders who come together to help plan for America East and make it a success. And I can say there's a lot of exciting sessions already being planned for this year. But are there any ones in particular that you're most excited about?
All of them.
Yeah.
I think I'm required to say that.
Yeah.
There are sessions for every department of the news organization, management, editorial, advertising, and production. We've really put a focus and an emphasis on addressing the key issues that will be impacting these departments individually in 2020 and beyond. As usual, we're going to have some great speakers. We have Dr. James Bissell, Ryan Dorn, and Jed Williams lined up and headlining an impressive list of speakers.
I know when I sit in these planning sessions and planning committee meetings with you guys, it's a lot of thought that gets put into it, especially with current topics. I know for myself, looking over the list, there's something about trauma. There's something about there's things about even the production side. You mentioned started as a production trade show, but that's still an important part of your attendance and your sessions, correct? Is you still want to keep a focus on the print and the production side, and I think there's people who appreciate that in industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you touched upon a couple things there in that, the trauma sessions and how to deal with the trauma that the reporters face on a day-to-day basis with their reporting coverage. We're going to have a couple election-related topics, sessions, training sessions.
That's going to be a big one.
And the production aspect of, what to do, publishing less days, how does that work, how to partner. And then, also, one of the things that's at the forefront of everybody's mind right now, which, Jed Williams will address, is the growing digital subs and, how to evolve in the digital world.
Now you mentioned Ryan Dorn. So Ryan Dorn is the founder and president of Brainstorm Media. He will be your keynote speaker this year. What can attendees expect from his speech?
Well, we're really excited to have Ryan as our keynote speaker. He's also going to lead a session later on Monday afternoon about finding and retaining and training great salespeople, all things that are very relevant to any organization. Ryan's widely respected, energetic, well regarded across the country and really across the world. Has just an incredible amount of experience working in the sales reps. His keynote will feature his 20 ideas in 20 minutes. It's a fun-paced, rapid, truly 20 ideas in 20 minutes that have been proven throughout the country, throughout the world, in a really highly informative, fun-paced, quick speech.
Now, you also mentioned the trade show floor is a big part of any conference. What can attendees expect from your floor, and why is that such an important aspect of the vendors and attendees, that relationship of having both of those at your conference?
Sure. The trade show floor will continue to be ground zero for the entire 3 days, as it was last year for the first time. All the meal functions, receptions, award shows will be held on the show floor to maximize the time that vendors have to talk with attendees and vice versa. The trade show floor continue to be a wonderful area for attendees to connect with current vendors, attendees to meet with new potential vendors, partners, and to exchange ideas with fellow industry leaders and vendors. As you know, trade shows across all the industries have changed in the digital age, but the America East still has that face-to-face ability to meet current and new vendors in a casual environment.
And I think that's what I appreciate too. Again, if I'm coming to America East for so many years, is having that, having to walk around the show and see vendors and attendees having these discussions, over like lunch or over a drink or something, or just, walking around and finding solutions too. And I think what these shows still need is having that face-to-face interaction. Do you agree with that? And
no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
You've been part of it for many years, and you've seen it firsthand that you see attendees walk around and get pulled in by another attendee who works with this vendor, and then that starts another conversation. And it's really a great way to pick up some new ideas. And even if it's not a vendor that you're going to end up using, there's still so much information out there that you can take back to your organization and really improve your own operations.
And that's what and you mentioned a layout too, which is again, just want to say that I do appreciate that layout of having all the meals and sessions and even the casual events of just even a coffee breaks are there, right? So if you need a coffee break, you need something during the sessions, you just go out there and you can bring up some conversation relationships right there on the floor, which is great. So absolutely,
yeah, that worked really well for us last year, and had a lot of positive feedback from both attendees and vendors, and it's something that obviously will be replicated in 2020.
So for this year, you mentioned 45 years in Hershey. What is your goal, and what do you hope to accomplish at this year's show? 2020 is definitely you mentioned elections, you mentioned all these different perspectives that are taking place in newsrooms. So what do you hope to accomplish when people come to America East and then they walk away and go back to newsrooms?
Our goal for the show and really anything that we do here at PNA is to maximize the learning and the network experiences that the attendees and vendors have. We really want them to leave on Wednesday afternoon and say to themselves, I got a lot to take back to my organization. And I really can't believe it was that affordable. I mean, it's about the affordability aspect. It's about the learning aspect. And, if we could say that every attendee and every vendor leaves Hershey on Wednesday afternoon and feels that way, that's a successful show for us.
So let's talk about, we haven't started 2020 this show yet. I'm sure you start in the planning process of all that stuff, but I do want to talk about what's next for PNA and America East overall, especially the topic of, you're going through it right now, and other conferences have gone through it too, where consolidation, merging things, and is that a sign of what conferences are heading towards, or what's the points behind having people come to conferences and networking? What's the points behind that? You see more budget cuts and resources being lost in newsrooms. Why is it so important that people come to shows like America East? In addition to, what do you have planned next for America East?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that getting together with peers and industry leaders, varying size organizations, is a wonderful opportunity to learn and network.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you can't replicate over the phone or through go-to webinars or anything like that. The hands-on educational elements of the conferences are so valuable. But those ideas that are shared over lunch, a reception, in the lobby, they just don't happen on the webinars and virtual
Mm-hmm.
conferences. And I say that for America East, and I say that for any of the conferences that we all attend across industries. That more often than not, those great ideas and those great events and thoughts are coming through that networking over that drink or over that glass of coffee. And that's something that you can't replicate via the phone, via the web, via Skype.
Yeah.
So that's something that we look to capitalize on. To answer your last question, after 45 years at Hershey, we are taking the show on the road in 2021. We're going to the great city of Pittsburgh, which is my hometown, and we're going to host the 2021 America East at the Marriott City Center right there in downtown Pittsburgh, March 23rd to the 26th.
That's great. Well, I'm sure people who've come to Hershey for so long would definitely miss the chocolate, though. I'm sure. I know. I remember having the chocolate every meal, basically. I mean, but that's great. Moving to Pittsburgh. So is that what was the decision behind moving it, to different locations within the area, or moving it? What was it, or even picking Pittsburgh? What was it behind that? The decision behind that?
We listened to the feedback we've received from the vendors over the last few years about hosting it near a major airport and how that was something that they would like to see. Hershey's a wonderful area. Harrisburg's a wonderful area, but it's a rather small airport. So it is difficult to sometimes get in and with very few direct flights. So we did listen to the vendors there. But one of the things too is that when we merged all three of our conferences together, the PNA Advertising Conference and the PNA Annual Publishers Convention had always rotated around the state, bouncing from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh to the center part of the state. So beginning in 2021, America East is going to follow suit, and we'll be in Pittsburgh, as I mentioned, and probably looking around the Philadelphia area in 2022 and rotating it, in that Philadelphia central part of the Pennsylvania and then to Pittsburgh, year over year.
That's great. So if you're a Steelers fan, definitely attend, right? So
I am indeed.
So where can people find more information about America East? I'm assuming registration is still ongoing. Where can people find you on social media channels or websites?
Yeah, sure. People can go to www.americaeast, and that's america-east.com. You can also go to panewsmedia.org and go to our events and training tab, and that'll take you to the America East page. Our discounted pricing goes through February 14th, and then registration goes through March 20th. After March 20th, online registrations will close, but you can register on site all 3 days of the conference.
Okay, great. And one more pitch from our side. So the EP, the 25 to 35, we're still taking nominations until February 10th. So anyone out there who's listening or watching, if you are someone or know someone in newsroom who's doing great things in newsroom, 25 to 35, please go to editor and publisher /25 under 35 to fill out nominations. Again, nominations close February 10th, and if you're selected, we'd love to have you guys join us in Hershey. So thank you, Brad, for your time today. I appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in Hershey in March.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.